Switzerland, a country with picturesque alpine landscapes, an impeccable reputation, and a high standard of living, is often perceived as a paradise on earth. However, behind this perfect picture, there are many nuances that tourists and even some locals do not always know about. Here are 10 shocking facts about Switzerland that might change your perception of the country. First, expensive even for the rich. Switzerland ranks among the first in the world in terms of prices for goods and services. Even residents of other wealthy European countries are often amazed when confronted with Swiss prices. About a third of Swiss households have an annual income of more than 100,000 francs, about $110,000. But despite this, many feel like the middle class due to high spending. Tourists, especially from lower-income countries, often face sudden costs. For example, a train ticket from Geneva to Zurich costs around 90 francs, about $100 one way, while a room in an average hotel can cost between 150 and 300 francs per night. The cost of public transport, car rentals, and food and household goods are significantly higher than in most EU countries. Locals can afford these expenses thanks to high salaries, but tourists and immigrants have to be especially attentive to their budgets. Second, anti-noise laws. Forget about night parties. The Swiss value order and tranquility, and this translates into strict noise laws. In residential areas, it is forbidden to make noise after 2200 hours and until 7 o'clock in the morning, and in some places even after 2000 hours. You cannot talk loudly on the street, listen to music, or do noisy household chores. In big cities like Zurich and Geneva, the rules may be a little less strict, but in rural areas or smaller towns, the strictness is striking. For example, even when transporting furniture or renovating an apartment, you are obliged to notify your neighbors in advance and limit the time of work. For violation of the rules, they can issue a fine or even call the police. This limits the possibilities for holding home events and greatly affects the nightlife, which is much less active here than in other European capitals. Third, strict control of garbage. Switzerland has some of the strictest rules for sorting and recycling garbage. Paper, glass, metal, organics, plastics, and even textiles must be separately sorted and discarded in certain containers. In some areas, waste must be removed on strictly defined days and hours. Otherwise, you risk getting a fine. Paid garbage bags, which are only sold at authorized stores, are expensive and are controlled by local authorities. In some places, each bag of garbage is labeled, allowing authorities to track who is not sorting the garbage correctly. Local residents actively monitor compliance with these rules, and complaints from neighbors or inspections by municipal authorities are commonplace. If you are a tourist and threw out the garbage incorrectly, do not be surprised if you are reprimanded or even fined. Fourth, limited access to real estate for foreigners. Switzerland is famous for its beautiful houses and chalets in the Alps, but becoming a property owner here is not so easy. For foreigners who do not reside in Switzerland, there is a restriction on the purchase of real estate. Even for those with a residence permit, there are quotas and restrictions depending on the canton. In resort areas such as Davos or St. Moritz, the rules are even stricter. Foreigners are only allowed to own a certain number of properties, and only a limited number of properties are released to the market each year. In some regions, such as Ticino or Obwalden, there are special conditions for purchase, and foreigners have to go through lengthy approval processes with local authorities. Moreover, even with a permit, buying a property in Switzerland can take several months due to strict bureaucratic procedures, inspections, and approvals. Fifth, a small number of weekends and vacations. The work ethic of the Swiss is considered one of the strictest in Europe. The average Swiss worker is entitled to 20 working days of vacation per year, which is significantly less than in countries such as France or Spain, where vacation can reach 30 to 40 days. In addition, there are not many official public holidays either, and the number varies depending on the canton. Geneva, for example, has only 8 public holidays a year, while Zurich has 12. For the Swiss, this is normal, but for foreigners accustomed to more weekends, it may come as a surprise. Work schedules often do not allow for flexibility, and even highly qualified specialists face difficulties in coordinating long vacations. Employers expect employees to give their all and perform well, which creates additional pressure. Sixth, close shops on Sunday. If you're used to being able to go shopping any day of the week, you'll have to reconsider your habits in Switzerland. Sunday is a day of rest, and almost all shops are closed. This rule is supported by federal laws and local traditions that require Sunday to be a day of peace and family recreation. Even supermarkets and large shopping centers in major cities are closing, which can be a serious inconvenience for those who did not have time to shop during the week. Restaurants and cafes also often close early, and entertainment venues work on reduced hours. There are only a few exceptions, such as shops at train stations and airports, but their assortment is usually limited, and the prices are higher than in regular supermarkets. Seventh, Swiss bureaucracy. Although Switzerland is known for its efficiency and organization, the bureaucracy here can be unexpectedly complex. Even simple procedures such as registering a new residence can take weeks or months due to the many checks and strict document requirements. For example, registering for residency requires not only the submission of numerous forms, but also the provision of proof such as lease agreements, proof of income, insurance documents, and more. For foreigners, the process is further complicated by the need to provide translated and certified copies of documents from their home country. Obtaining a work permit or starting a business in Switzerland can also be a real challenge. Bureaucracy may seem paradoxical in a country known for its efficiency and technological progress. Take it, excessive control over personal life. Locals in Switzerland can take a significant interest in what their neighbors are doing. For example, if you didn't mow your lawn or left your trash can outside at the wrong time, it can cause complaints. There are even cases when neighbors called the police because laundry was hung out to dry on the balcony, violating the aesthetics of the street. If you are building or renovating a house, you will need permission not only from the authorities, but also from neighbors, who can file a protest if they feel that the project violates their comfort. On the one hand, it is part of the Swiss culture of collective consciousness and responsibility for the common good, but on the other hand, it can be perceived as an invasion of privacy. Ninth, transport fines. Public transport in Switzerland is one of the best in the world, but it is not without surprises. For any violation of the rules, you can get a significant fine. For example, if you don't punch your tram ticket or don't pay the full train fare, you can be fined 100 francs. Cameras on the roads record any violation, and even the slightest speeding can cost you hundreds of francs. Fines are high, and the control system works efficiently, making traveling in Switzerland quite costly for those who are not familiar with the local regulations. 10th, the habit of being late. Although Switzerland is famous for its accuracy and punctuality, in some cases expectations may not be met. For example, craftsmen and contractors are often late or reschedule appointments without warning. This paradox may be due to the overload of working specialists or to a culture where punctuality is the norm in formal and business relations, but less mandatory in everyday life. Construction and renovation work often has delays, which comes as a surprise to those accustomed to Switzerland's reputation as the perfect organization. Conclusion: Switzerland is a country of contrasts. It fascinates with its magnificent landscapes, high standard of living, and safety, but behind this perfect picture there are numerous nuances and limitations. Understanding these hidden aspects can help tourists and immigrants better prepare for life in this amazing, but far from perfect country. These features are not a reason to give up on the idea of visiting or moving to Switzerland, but they show that even paradise has its drawbacks. Subscribe to the channel, like or dislike. Have a good rest, everyone.